Welcome to Game. Hey guys, and welcome to another installment of T-Series.
T-Series. I think this is episode 6 for us.
I think that you just count random numbers every time we start this.
Episode 27 of
Right?
T-Series.
I was going to say,
welcome everyone.
Chris just confirmed for me off camera that this is actually episode 7.
It is episode 7. We are here on the couch for more tea and more spilling of it.
It is episode 22 here of T-Series.
This is an especially tea-full episode, I think. I think we've got a lot of juicy stuff to talk about today. Actually, us being out for a week, I feel like we actually have a lot of tea to catch up on.
Yeah, us being gone for the last week on vacation has actually given a lot of time for some juicy stories to pop up.
To boil over, if you will.
Too steep. If we're using the terminology of tea. Speaking of, Stephanie, what are you drinking today?
Today I'm keeping it simple with a straight organic green out of a lovely Wonder Woman mug, and I'm enjoying it very much. Thank you. What about you?
You know what I'm drinking, Steph.
What could it be?
I'm drinking delightful diet unbranded Soda X carbonated beverage. Oh, I said soda. Sorry.
Ooh.
Carbonated beverage X coming out of a silver can.
Excellent.
Take that clue for what you might.
Dun, dun, dun.
For some reason, diet sodas just come in silver cans.
It's to make you feel like it's light
Lighter.
and airy.
Yeah, it's not heavy like those fully colored cans.
Maybe it's so you can see your reflection and you can see, wow,
Watches you
I
get
look
thinner.
thin out here.
Man, I am looking good in the reflection of this can. It's almost like a funhouse mirror, right? Because of the curvature. Maybe it's
exactly.
making me look thinner as well. Wow, great. Well, unbranded Diet Soda X.
There it is.
There it is in generic, crappy blue clear mug. I don't think this is even our mug, Stephanie. I think that Jason brought this to our house one day, and we just claimed it as our own. And now I just drink out of it every week on this.
I think that something like that may be true, yeah.
Because we have clear mugs like this at our house.
But they're
except
clear, not blue.
They're clear and not blue.
Yeah, anyway.
So this is a mystery mug.
It doesn't matter. We don't have a kitchen at our house anyway. We have come back from vacation and we were supposed to have a lot of work done on our kitchen, which, as everyone has known because we've been talking everyone's ear off about it, we had to have completely overhauled, gutted. We had to have mold removal specialists come in. We had a lot of water damage in our kitchen, from some of it dating back to way before we bought the house, and so we are still in the process of putting that back together. That's our personal news. So while we were on vacation, nothing got done.
Literally, we were trying to stay off of email and text messages and everything while we were on a cruise to the Caribbean.
And they text us and they're like, I don't know how we're going to get a hold of you, but there's a problem.
Yeah, they text us early on in the week, basically being like, "Hey, all that work that we were supposed to do on your floor, the tiles that we bought and that we selected and that the contractors that we're working with purchased, there was a manufacturing error, and they're not all the same height.
No, they were warped.
Thickness,
That's
whatever.
It came
warped.
across weird in the text messages, but we found out that they're like bowed. They're like this, and so instead of laying flat like tiles, should do
Even
on
though
your floor,
they're
they go
tile.
like this.
I didn't even know that it was physically possible for tile to warp.
Right? How does that even happen?
Like that,
Anyway.
it is a material that should not be a thing. So anyway,
if it can go wrong on this project, it's gone wrong. But hey, at least we were out of town while that happened. We were on vacation last week. Our personal tea.
Does that make it better?
A little bit.
Because all that means is it delayed all the progress of us getting our kitchen back by a
Got to
week.
ignore it for
and then
days.
And then we came back and
Great.
immediately had to deal with it. So I would actually argue it was almost worse. In fact, we were in a position where we were powerless the entire time. I will not be silenced, Stephanie. This is T-Series, and I am spilling that tea.
So we've come back to a lot of work on this end, but it was
A lot
nice
of
to
work.
be on a boat for a few days. We met lots of you. There were we mentioned this yesterday on the stream, but we met a lot of you on our cruise ship. We had it was like an informal theorist gathering on the high seas.
'Twas.
We spent some time taking lots of pictures on pretty Caribbean islands, being Patricks of the Caribbean.
Arr.
Patricks. It doesn't really work, but
Sounded
that's
like
what we did.
Sounded like you got something caught in your throat and were Struggling to cough it back up.
But anyway, so that's what we did last week. We are back this week. We have tons of stories to cover. We should jump into it. Yay?
Nay. What was your favorite? What was your favorite Caribbean island?
What do you
real
mean,
quick.
nay?
What was your favorite Caribbean island?
Toss up for me between St. Lucia and St. Martin, both of which we visited.
We visited Barbados, Antigua, St. Martin, St. Lucia,
and St. Kitts.
And St. Kitts, yes.
So we had a really nice time. But yeah, St. Lucia and St. Martin were my favorites.
Excellent, good choice.
Yours?
Any island where we didn't have to get into fisticuffs with a taxi driver.
Yeah, that happened.
That happened. So pro tip to anyone who is ever traveling abroad, make sure you invest in an international data plan. And if you have to get into a taxi cab or into a transportation device that you don't trust, make sure that you pull up Google Maps to follow along with where they're taking you.
So that they can't take you in completely the wrong direction without you knowing about
So that way when they try to take you for a ride while taking you for a ride, you can call them out on it, promptly walk out, and have the rest of your vacation day ruined. Or able to be recovered.
Or salvaged. No, that's when you have it salvaged. When we travel, we make a almost 100% universal policy to either walk, bike, or use public transportation wherever we go. Sometimes there are rare instances where that just is not possible. We generally hate taking taxis because a lot of taxi drivers are not trustworthy. I'm sorry if it's a stereotype. That has just been our personal experience, not to stereotype, but it is absolutely true.
It's like a solid 70%, especially internationally. Taxi drivers in New York, much better.
Yeah, and taxi drivers in New York are totally fine.
But like taxis internationally tend to be pretty questionable.
That is the tea.
That is very much the tea. And so we've learned from past bad experiences with taxis and multiple bad experiences with taxis. We've actively tried to avoid them. One day in Thailand, actually, when we first arrived in Thailand, I almost got... both me and the taxi driver almost got arrested for a fight that we were having in the middle of a street. So that was fun. But it is one of those things that we've tried to avoid taxis ever since, but sometimes you're in places where you have no choice, or that's kind of like the predominant way that you have to get around the island. So just as a tea-filled tip today, if you can, use your cell phone to your advantage in those situations and have something where you can actually location track where the destination is that you're looking to go and where you currently are and whether you're moving closer or further away from that destination, because more often than not, there's a high likelihood that a taxi driver might be trying to take you in a place that you don't expect and then charge you extra if you realize you're going the wrong way.
Anything else about vacation?
Just that I'm eager for the next one, Stephanie. Where are we going for the next one?
Only time will tell.
Oh.
Gotta keep some surprises, man. All right. Ready?
Yes.
Let's hop in.
I am. Yay. I am ready now.
Cool.
So brief news. So in the kind of short stories that we should be covering today. First off, our good friend Felix, PewDiePie, he's offered his congratulations to T-Series on being the #1 most subscribed channel at this point.
Yeah.
He's kind of conceded the defeat, unfortunately.
Well, it's interesting. So, I mean, in a sense, right? So, if you haven't seen his congratulations music video, I do recommend it. I mean, it has like 65 million views or something, so it's not like it is underwatched, but it is
underwatched relative to this other story, the all-female K-pop group Blackpink. I actually can't comment on this one because Chris pulled it up and I haven't gotten a chance to look at it, but apparently they are the fastest growing music video of all time on YouTube. 56 million views in 24 hours.
That's kind of crazy.
So, Pewds is doing well for himself in his music career.
I wonder if any of that was advertising.
I guarantee that a lot of that actually was probably whatever the backers of the K-pop group are to try and launch. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Anyway, there's a lot of corporations behind K-pop groups that try to kind of like launch them into celebrity early so that they can recoup on their investment. It's kind of like it's basically the equivalent model of like the Jake Pauls of the world, where it's manufactured influencers, blah blah blah, this and that. Long story short, PewDiePie's doing great for his music video, but you were saying that's different story.
That's a different story for a different day, but worth talking about for sure. So we should like put a pin in that and talk about it at some other point, because manufactured celebrity is a whole thing. But for PewDiePie, not a manufactured celebrity at all. No one will even like talk to him from mainstream media. Not manufactured. But he released his congratulations music video. It is worth a watch. It's very smartly done. It's obviously it's like a backhanded compliment. It's a classic like underhanded insult at T-Series, basically calling them out, saying, "Oh, congratulations, you're the biggest channel. It only took you being a mega corporation that controls all of Bollywood to overtake me." So already there's like a little bit of like not like a chip on his shoulder, but he's keeping it pretty real. And then he calls them out in the song.
You might say he's spilling the tea.
He is. It was his own T-Series. And then he calls them out in the song for their allegations against T-Series that they started out by actually pirating other people's music and illegally re-uploading it, so that they were, copyright abusers. They were like basically stealing other people's content to use as their own in the early days before they actually started, making it and doing stuff on their own. According to at least when the music video was made, that information was publicly available on Wikipedia even. So it's one of those things that was kind of out there and a little bit known. But there are also allegations that I think CEO or one of the head honchos over at T-Series has been is like in huge tax fraud trouble for like trying to evade taxes, and then also that there may be ties to like some sort of Indian mob or Indian mafia between the head honchos at T-Series. We are the good T-Series. We are the good T-Series, okay? We pay our taxes.
I have
Thank
no
you very much.
We pay a lot in taxes. I also have no connections with the Indian mob that I know of.
Yes.
That I know of.
Right. I mean,
if it comes out later, it'll be a surprise to me
exactly.
as much as it is to you, honestly.
That would be really shocking. That would be unusual.
And
I'm Italian. Maybe you have connections to the Italian mob.
It would also be disappointing, quite honestly, because if I had connections to the Indian mob this whole time and I wasn't using those to my advantage, like, what am I doing with myself at that point? Does every country and ethnicity have a mob? Like you mentioned, the Italian mob, very well known, very popular.
The Russian mob is also up there.
A fan favorite of mob aficionados.
Obviously,
Russian,
you don't get better mob movies than Italian mob movies.
Whoa!
You got the Russian mob. You've got
the
Irish mob is a pretty well known one, and then you have the Yakuza in Japan.
Great.
China. Does their government count?
Is there a generic mob, a generic American mob?
The mob?
Well, no, because you have the Italian mob. Is there an American mob, or are we just a melting pot of mobs?
Ooh, we're inclusive.
We're an inclusive mob. Everyone's welcome, all colors and ethnicity.
I think I'm sure there is, and the fact that we're asking that question shows what rubes we are. If we were cooler and maybe closer to the Illuminati, maybe we would understand the American mob system.
No,
I'm sure it exists.
I feel like the Illuminati and the mob they're separate categories, Steph. Let's be honest here.
Oh, okay. Well, absolutely.
The mob is like the blue collar Illuminati, right?
The Illuminati have to control the mob at some level,
right?
Right? There's if your hierarchy, if you're ranking things, it's Illuminati, and then you have the mafias, and then you have the other governments that are in there too. This is my sprinkling of power below the Illuminati,
spread.
but the Illuminati is definitely up here. Yeah, and so and you have the Mexican drug cartel, as made famous by Breaking Bad, and probably lots of law enforcement agencies,
and also a lot of other stories that came before Breaking Bad. But okay, yep, that's the one that made them famous.
Shows what rubes we are.
You might not have heard of this one, the Mexican drug mob, very under the radar until this show came about called Breaking Bad that really, really brought them to the forefront, brought them to the surface.
And James Haygreen says, also be careful what you say about the Chinese government. They are absolutely listening.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've had a film theory plan for a long time. We actually have it written that covers a bit of some of the stuff that's happening in China, and we're afraid to publish it. Here's T-Series right there. You go.
Yeah,
we're afraid to actually publish this episode because we want to go back to China at some point.
We want to go back and visit China, so maybe we'll try and do that and then publish the episode.
Yeah, we enjoyed our visit. I mean, it was a
We
very
enjoyed
interesting
our
cultural
visit
experience.
to China.
It was great.
It was a lovely country.
It was.
And we are proud of all of their accomplishments.
There it is.
No.
I mean, you heard it right here.
We did enjoy our time in China. It was a very different cultural experience. I would
Very
really like
different.
to go back to visit a couple of places. We really want to see the Terracotta Army in Xi'an, and
That's a big one for me.
And go to Guangzhou and Hong Kong. Which
also
Hong Kong you can visit without a Chinese visa, but still, this film theory episode, we actually may get banned from going to China. Like, Matthew is not just
joking.
hyping it
I'm
up.
not hyping it up.
If we actually put out this video, there's a good chance that we could be barred from getting a visa. So we are holding on to it and not publishing it, at least until we're pretty sure we don't want to go visit.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation, right? Because on one hand, I don't know, you want to do stuff that it spreads the good word or informs people, but on the other hand, like, you're totally right. Like, especially with some of the governments who are out there, and some of the, and the level of security that a lot of these places have, and the kind of like tight restrictions that they have over what can and can't be said about them. It's hard sometimes to cover certain topics. And yeah, as people who really value international tourism, as people who really value getting to expose themselves to other cultures, other locations, very famous world locations like the Great Wall and the Forbidden Palace and this and that. It's an amazing country, and it's a place that, even though we've been there, like Steph said, there's a couple things that we'd like to hit again. There's a bunch of things I'd love to show Oliver for the first time when he's old enough to appreciate it.
Oh my gosh.
But
And the great, like, here's the thing. China has some amazing landmarks that are, like, really famous, obviously, like the Great Wall of China and stuff. And some of the places where you go and visit where there are these huge landmarks, they're like not as big in person as you expect them to be, or they're hyped up in a different way. But the Great Wall of China is one of the ones where you go and you're like, wow, and you're just overwhelmed by the sheer scale of it, and it's amazing. It's
really
immense,
incredible.
and
And the
it's
history.
really fun. Yeah, and the history is incredible. So there are things that are so worth seeing that we don't want to close ourselves
yeah,
off.
and let it be known that the stuff that this episode covers is in the public record. Like, it's not like
there's
we
no
expose
insider
some-
baseball. It's just
No, but it is stuff that could be seen as negative or derogatory toward the country and some of the policies that they're enacting. And it's just one of those things where, yeah, it's really one of the first times that we've sat down and held off on an episode because we're like, the risk of us covering this is potentially too great. So
anyway,
one day, the lost episode
maybe.
of Film Theory. Anyway,
Yeah.
rewinding it all the way back to the
way back-
beginning.
all the way back to PewDiePie.
PewDiePie.
So PewDiePie also calls out in his congratulations music video the fact that T-Series had sent him a cease and desist letter for calling them out for potentially saying some things that were not particularly nice or whatever about not only T-Series but potentially I guess Indian people, even though I think he's been pretty outspoken as an advocate of supporting charitable causes that help people in the country and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, he had a cease and desist letter from T-Series, and this was several months ago. He actually made this video 3 months ago, this congratulations music video, and he was like, yeah, and it just took them a lot longer to pass me than I thought it would, and like he was like, I didn't know when I would actually get to release it, but I'm glad I got to release it. But apparently, so they sent him the cease and desist letter, and so he goes through like a few examples of what would actually be considered like defamation, which is like the legal term for when you say something that's really bad about someone else, that's not true. So that's the thing. So you can get sued for defamation if you say something about a public figure or someone that hurts their reputation and that isn't true, right? So I guess PewDiePie had gotten this cease and desist letter, and they were like, stop defaming us. And so he goes through in the music video and says, I can say this and this and this and this, and it's not defamation. Legally, it's not defamation. Ha ha ha. And basically like a you can't get me kind of message. And I think it's a really smart video. I'm not Indian, and I have watched a couple of response videos from people who are Indian who watched it, and they have much more mixed feelings about it. But in terms of like the T-Series PewDiePie battle, it was kind of a cool mic drop moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was cool. I thought it was snarky in the way that PewDiePie is always snarky. I would be curious to see, hear what you guys think of it too.
The thing though that you said there, which is, and yeah, he's not wrong, but also he is wrong in terms of kind of doing this na you can't get me because what I'm saying is true. That's assuming that the law is, not bendable, right? Like that's assuming that the courts and the people and the lawyers and stuff will adhere to the letter of the law specifically, right? And the reason I bring this up is earlier today, or earlier in this episode even, Steph brought up how T-Series was accused of like copyright infringement and, were they stealing music videos in the earliest days? It segues nicely to one of the main topics that we wanted to cover today, which is James Charles. Actually,
yeah.
We were going to save this for a little bit later, but I think the conversation just kind of segued over to it. So James Charles, our friend, actually we've never met him, but he's one that we've been talking about quite a bit on our T-Series, simply because he's now the #1 makeup guru, beauty guru on YouTube. Obviously, one of the biggest channels on YouTube right now. Someone who's been growing at an incredibly fast rate. All of his videos getting 6+ million views. Very creative in the type of stuff that he's programming for his channel. It's great. But and one of the creative things that he did right recently, which got him into trouble, was he released this video entitled roughly "Singing My Makeup Routine," right? So he releases this video singing my makeup routine in which he sings jokey cover songs of famous songs about jokey cover songs, and he changes the lyrics so that what they refer to makeup in his morning routine as he makes up his face, right? He doesn't use the music to those songs. There's just some like kind of backing piano chords as he sings. He plays
piano. So he's I don't know if
I don't think he's the one playing it though.
Yeah. In the video, but he does play piano.
And he doesn't again use the words to the original songs, but he does he uses the
melody.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of the situation, right? Sony Music, again, from past episodes of T-Series and past episodes of Game Theory and Film Theory, how I love the music industry. Sony actually claimed that video, and we all know that James Charles is very vocal on Twitter, so he took to Twitter to rant about this, basically saying, hey, I disputed the claim from Warner Chappell with valid reasoning because the use falls under the parody law, and they declined it. Of course, because they want the money. The issue is now, if I dispute it again, there's no third party to decide who's right. The label gets to choose, right? So he was this video in which he does kind of like a jokey sing-song, let me sing my makeup routine video, gets claimed by the music labels. He disputes it. They reassert that claim saying, nope, this is definitely ours. We are sure that this is ours. So shut up about it. And if you then challenge it again, it opens up basically a legal case, right? Like that's kind of where you're at that point.
Yeah, and this is a YouTube thing, and this is one of the biggest problems that people complain about with the YouTube copyright system. When people go on Twitter and they're ranting about how terrible the YouTube copyright system is and stuff like that, it's very often for this reason. It's if you get a copyright claim and you dispute it, and they bring it back on you. If you dispute it again, and it's basically like, it's like a he said, she said almost. It's, between who's right. If you dispute it again, they have to, they can sue you, basically. Puts you in the risk, it risks you getting a legal notice, having to go to court, being sued, having to get lawyers involved, which, if you're looking at an individual YouTuber, even a huge YouTuber like James Charles, or we've been around the platform for a long time, that kind of stuff. Even a really well-established creator versus a mega company like Sony or Warner Brothers or one of the big music labels who have some of the most vicious lawyers in the world, there's there's no chance, right? And they can just spend money and spend money and spend money until you're like squashed into the ground, like into nothing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's why YouTubers are like, this copyright system is so unfair because you can go back and forth, but at the end of the day, they will always win. And if you're disputing something against a corporation, if they want it, they will always beat you, even if they're wrong.
Yeah, because
even if they're wrong, which is the crazy thing.
Yeah, because it at a certain point, it doesn't even go to court, right?
Yeah.
They just kind of prolong the proceedings for long enough that you just run out of money. And in the past, even when we had the Defy situation pop up, people are like, oh, there was the whole like H3H3 like community grouped together fund to help support creators as they're kind of pursuing these like copyright allegations and this and that. No pool of money is deep enough to go up against the music labels. That is just a fact. Like it's no amount of donations, no amount of fan funding, no amount of ad revenue, whatever. Like if they want to get you, you are done. Like that's just it, right? So we all kind of have to cower in fear around this stuff. But apparently, right? So the music label's like, nope, this is totally ours. Sorry, James Charles, you lose, you done. But after making a stink on Twitter about it, YouTube apparently intervened and somehow got it all resolved, right? So YouTube tweeted at Charles to tell him that Sony had decided to release their claim. So again, this is going back to my assertion that, you know, PewDiePie's doing na-na-na-na boop-boo T-Series, you can't get me because, you know, I'm adhering to the letter of the law. Here's the thing, friends. The law is sometimes flexible because I actually have to side with Sony on this.
There's
the T right there.
Yeah.
And trust me, I feel disgusted having to say that, but let us explain.
We really don't like the music industry.
Clearly.
We are not a fan of the music labels. We actively avoid listening to a lot of pop music and supporting the record labels because we hate them that much. And we recognize that the way that the copyright system on YouTube and the copyright around music in general is really
stupid,
really dumb. It's really dumb. But based on the way the law exists now, Sony was right.
Yeah.
They have every right to this video because of the way copyright with music works. And I think you should explain that because the copyright with music is really complicated and there are many levels.
Yeah, so basically, and this is the ridiculous thing. I allude to this very briefly in the film theory on Article 13 that we did, right? So a couple months back, we did a film theory episode. SpongeBob's in the thumbnail, but basically it's about like the dangers of Article 13. And I specifically make a very passing reference to what technically defines parody based on the letter of the law, right? And this is something that I learned way back when I was in the earliest days of YouTube, still working at the multi-channel networks as a channel advisor, as a channel consultant. I had to learn, and the Big Frame, the multi-channel network that I was working with, had a lot of cover artists represented at the time. They had a bunch in the network.
Yeah, so you were helping music channels and you had to learn about music copyright.
I had to learn about music copyright, and basically what I learned is that I mean that there are 3 levels of copyright that YouTube specifically looks for and that the law basically protects when it comes to music, right? It is the compositional rights, it is the melodic rights, and it is the lyrics are a whole separate thing, and then there's the music video itself, right?
So explain what that means. So one is the actual like notes that you're using, that's the melody. So the melody is under copyright. Mm-hmm. The lyrics are under a separate copyright. So you can't even like copy the lyrics of a song and just say them because those are also copyrighted. Even if you're not singing to the melody, just the lyrics are copyrighted.
This is why music theory could never become a thing, because we've talked about like, hey, what if we did a series similar to like a Rap Genius or something like that, where it's like let's do a deep dive into the lyrics behind these songs and analyze what they're really saying. And you can't do it because as soon as you cite more than like a line or two of a lyric, technically speaking, that can be copyright claimed by the music label.
Yeah, that's why. We wanted to do music theory, but so if you look at it, that way, if you look at it the way the law actually is, because James Charles, he's a good singer and he was singing the accurate melody of a lot of those songs. That melody is copyrighted, even
Correct.
if he changes the lyrics. And
Correct.
so parody is also weird,
Yeah.
but
So-
even if he changes the lyrics, he's still singing the melody.
So in order for James Charles to be right about his claim that this falls under parody based on, or the parody laws of fair use, right? And fair use does indeed protect parody. People misunderstand the definition of parody though, right? Most people assume like, oh, it's a joke song set to the tune of Beat It, or set to the tune of Thank You Next, or set to the tune
Weird
of...
Al Yankovic. All of Weird Al's songs are, for the most part, they're parodies.
No, they're not.
They don't count as
Weird
parody?
Al technically does not count as parody. He has to get the rights to those
he
songs
does?
in order. They're
I
not
didn't
parodies.
even know.
No, see that's the thing that everyone always thinks about. Everyone assumes that Weird Al, oh, he is like basically the definition of a parody song, but that's not
his were
true.
parody.
No, in order to qualify as a parody song or a parody in general, it has to be making fun of the original work.
Chris, did you know that? Do you know?
Yeah.
You know that Weird Al isn't a parody?
I always thought he was.
I
Again,
always thought he was too.
Based on the letter of the
Man.
law, it is not the case because in order for you to actually make a parody of the song, the lyrics that you're using have to poke fun of the original work in order for that to be qualified as a parody. So for James Charles to make up, to sing the melody of these songs through the words of his makeup routine, that's not a parody. He is literally ripping off the song based on the letter of the law. This is not me being like, this is my opinion, I think that this is right. I don't. I think this is stupid. But in order for it to qualify as a parody, like say for instance, Michael Jackson's Beat It, right? It's a song about like, I don't even know.
Whoa, what is it a
what-
song
what is-
about?
what is Beat It about? I've never actually, see, I don't listen to the lyrics of songs, so I don't really know. But like, say...
You might have picked a bad example.
Yeah, say, God, what's a song with lyrics that I actually listen to? You know song lyrics, Steph? What's a song with lyrics that you know about?
What about the YMCA?
Okay, great.
What about
no,
YMCA?
YMCA is
Everyone
great.
knows
Okay.
YMCA.
Village People YMCA,
Yeah.
right? It's a song all about how great of an institution / building the YMCA is,
You
right?
can get yourself clean. You can have a
stop. You can get yourself clean. You can do other things, including
have a good meal.
meals, doing whatever you feel.
Yeah.
You can do all of those things. Again, we can't use more
can't
than like a
actually use
line
the
or two.
lyrics.
So in order for a parody song of the YMCA to actually fall legally under what is a parody song, you would need to be making fun of the original lyrics or the original theme of the song, right?
You'd have to do like YWCA and then comment on why you can't actually get a good meal.
Yeah,
or
you
something.
can't have a good meal. There's naked Asian men walking around your bathroom all the time. Like, it's not fun to stay at the YMCA because all you see is peen.
Our YMCA just happens to have a large elderly population from China and Korea who frequent the YMCA and enjoy hanging out in the locker room naked.
So if
This is actually true, but not particularly relevant to this discussion.
But it is, though. It's actually very relevant to this discussion because in order for me to do a parody song of the YMCA, I would need to be like,
on it. Yeah.
it smells like gym shorts. You see a bunch of peen. You can do it, stuff like that. You can lift really old weights. Like that's that, right? That would be a parody of YMCA because it's me commenting on the subject and lyrics of the original
And
song.
since James was talking about makeup and he wasn't talking about love or whatever the original songs were talking about,
Correct.
it actually doesn't count as parody. That's fascinating. I actually didn't know that about parody law. But so anyway.
That's why parody musicians and parody cover artists on YouTube actually kind of faded away with time because they, if you think about it, right, you become very limited in what you can actually talk about or sing about when you're
that
trying to make a
becomes really
comedic
hard.
music video.
Yeah.
It becomes really hard. And so everyone was starting to get their videos claimed by all of the music labels, right, again, rightfully so, unfortunately, based on the letter of the law as it's written. And as a result, like that whole genre of YouTube kind of had to peter out and die, or at least, exist in a very different way than it used to. But yes, so for the first time, and hopefully the only time, I actually have to side with the music labels on this one because they are technically correct based on the letter of the law.
Now the
I
law
don't
should
agree.
be changed.
Yeah, if that upsets you, like it upsets me, then yes, it should be changed. It's a stupid rule, but based on how fair use is defined, that is actually it. And the fact that YouTube stepped in and somehow got Sony to remove
that's some inside baseball,
my
friend.
That
was I think that was probably, if I had to guess, that was James calling his YouTube representative and like complaining every day for a week, and then the YouTube representative was like, guys, we gotta do something about this. And then someone had an insider talk with Sony and did like a backdoor deal, which I also kind of have, I have concerns about, because if it were a smaller creator, one that wasn't James and didn't have his reach, there's no chance that would have happened, right?
Yeah,
it's sort of one of those things where, because he's so big and so popular, YouTube kind of had to step in on his, or it didn't have to, but like they did. I see inequality there.
I see that as and there again, spill in some more tea. I see this as a dangerous thing for YouTube to have done. I think that is the wrong move for YouTube to intervene in this sort of situation.
It shows favoritism.
It does. If unless YouTube is actively petitioning the music label and re-educating the music labels to be like, hey, allow more stuff as parody songs.
That's the thing. So
great.
That's the issue here, I think, is if YouTube went into that conversation, and we don't know, right? They might have. That might have been the conversation.
Who knows what happened?
Hey, Sony, you need to stop claiming songs from creators that are like this, and Sony was like, okay, we'll back off for everyone. Then way to go, YouTube. That's awesome. Like, we are all about that, and we love when YouTube advocates on the part of creators. What we have concerns about is that if this had been a creator with a 50, 100,000, a couple of million subscribers even, and not James Charles, that no one would have paid attention to them.
Yep.
Our concern is about favoritism. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's unfortunate, right? That like the loudest voices get
we know
favor,
that we are also really lucky. Like, don't get us wrong, we're lucky and we're privileged to have a big voice. And when we talk about YouTube issues, when we talk about problems with the platform, we are really lucky in that a lot of people listen. And that's a very fortunate position to be in, and one that a lot of people aren't in. And so we take that really seriously, and also try to speak on behalf of other people. And when we complain to YouTube, we're usually complaining about issues that a lot of creators have. So we also don't know if James Charles approached the situation like that. We don't know what went on behind the scenes. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. But I'm hopeful that this can set a precedent for a lot of people, and it's not just a one-off exception for James.
Yeah, and what Stephanie says is 100% true, right? Like, we're not the biggest channel. We're certainly a big one, but we're certainly not the biggest. But it is one of those things that we do take seriously, right? When we talk to YouTube about issues with the platform, ways to improve this and that, our concerns, we try to reflect as many creators as possible. Like, I think a lot of creators who do have direct lines to YouTube only kind of reflect their own concerns or fears. Hey, my channel dipped in views. What's up with that? Like, without looking at the wider perspective. And so it's funny when we talk to YouTube, we hear stories about like, wow, I have people complain to me every week or every other week, and you guys are only every couple months. And it's like, yeah, because we reserve our complaints or our concerns for times where we think it's a wider issue that affects a lot of people and not necessarily just our channels, right?
Yep.
So we do try to be advocates for you guys, and it's not something that we talk about, and so people are like, oh, man, but we do.
We spend a lot of time sort of fighting on behalf of creators and viewers. Anyway, Rebecca from the chat says, as a law student taking property law right now, you're correct that a parody needs to make fun of an artist's song. She does say also that a remix is free game, which is what Weird Al does. I'm not sure most of his songs he actually has to license, as far as I know, but maybe you're right. Yeah,
his polka, so I would say his polka remix would be his polkas where he does like a bunch of songs. That would, I think, qualify as a remix. Yeah. But I think especially his earlier stuff, which I think most people think about when you think about Weird Al, where it's just riffing on the one song. It's
Yeah.
not really so much a remix, I would say.
James Haygreen says it would be really good publicity for the record company and then would effectively be free advertising. We absolutely agree with you. Totally agree with you. The music industry has never really seen it that way. And then finally, Rihanna Maxwell says, did they talk about Jeffree? And Ashley Chesson says, Jeffree was in the Icon and it's been an hour and I haven't heard about him yet. Well, maybe it's about time.
I guess it is. It is time. We were talking so much about YouTube, like favoritism. I was also going to throw out the fact that like Zac Efron has a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, Zac Efron has a YouTube channel.
And they're getting a lot of YouTube is getting a lot of flack for promoting that. Just like they promoted every celebrity's YouTube channel that exists.
It's like, come on, guys.
It's like, come on, guys. Like, hey.
You have a platform that doesn't need any of those people. What are you doing?
Right? Like, that's the thing I don't get is at this point, you won the battle, YouTube. Congratulations.
Right? You won.
You won. You did it.
Winning. It's fine.
Yeah, you don't need to suck up to all these celebrities of questionable talent, and especially that one because Zac Efron is now on my turf, whereas everyone who watches Film Theory knows, especially the High School Musical episode, knows my history with Zac Efron.
And by history, we don't mean that we actually know him or that Matthew has ever met him. He's just been bitter and resentful about him for years.
I did beat him in Battlefront that one time.
Oh, that's true. You played Battlefront with him that time.
And it was great.
Was it? Did it matter?
It mattered to me.
Okay.
Hey,
let's talk about Jeffree Star.
Let's talk about Jeffree Star because it has been an hour. Sorry, we get
so excited.
No, we intended to cover this one as the first story, but because Stephanie did such a good job of segueing from PewDiePie over into like unfair legality issues, I thought the James Charles stuff just made more sense to throw in there. So anyway, Jeffree Star obviously is kind of the top story of T-Series today, where he's in the thumbnail, so it's important for us to talk about. But basically, the long and short of it is that an insider group of professional thieves, basically, it was an inside job, according to Jeffree Star, have stolen $2.5 million worth of Jeffree Star's unreleased makeup. He went into one of his vlogs and basically, confessed the story where he had all this unreleased makeup, and that in what seems to be a Ocean's 11 style heist.
This is like totally an Ocean's 11 move. The Ocean's 15 is going to be the Jeffree Star makeup stealing adventure.
Yeah, who knows if the cast will be all women, all men, maybe it will be a mix, go figure. But anyway, they apparently, that would be a novel concept, an Ocean's movie where it's not like one gender or another.
Not gender dependent. What?
Unbelievable Hollywood. Where apparently these thieves, as part of this inside job, broke in through the roof, did like a little Mission Impossible, right? I just imagine Mission Impossible style, like descending from a rope in like a skylight,
right?
Watching the sweat drip down his forehead, grabbing a couple pallets of makeup and being like, all right, let's go sell these on the black market.
Go.
Black market makeup, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the makeup industry is huge. If you watch the Shane Dawson documentary about Jeffree Star, you will know that he moves, according to his reports, he moves about $20 million a year in makeup, which is just mind-boggling.
Which was before the Shane Dawson documentary,
right.
And at this point, I would almost guarantee that it's got to be at least like
it's skyrocketed.
It must have skyrocketed at this point.
The awareness for him has never been higher, and the anticipation for his newly released makeup has also never been higher. He is also known for reviewing and being really into super high-end luxury items, which sort of also sets the precedent for his makeup to be sold at a pretty high price point, right? And so there's this perception also that his makeup is really, really good makeup. And so if you're stealing from him, it's like, stealing a whole bunch of designer handbags or something. It's like, really expensive stuff. So $2.5 million worth of makeup, that's probably, enough for like 6 months.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, you going through that much makeup stuff?
No. But he, Jeffree is known for spending a lot on makeup, and I think his stuff, like his palettes, are like between $40 and $50. Like to make off with his makeup is a big deal. So luckily he had insurance. He had like losses and damages insurance and stuff, which most businesses have, and certainly one at his scale should have. And so he actually didn't lose out. He's, been able to collect the insurance money. He's working with the FBI to basically figure out who stole his stuff because they think it's connected to a like a national or global underground like makeup mob, another mob.
How are there so many mobs
So many.
and I am not a member of any of them? Dear mobs of the world, I'm
looking
here.
for a new member. He's a pledge.
Here.
If you'd like to take him on. So
Hi, Illuminati. Also, I'm still here, still waiting.
So they're trying to track down these underground makeup selling rings based on like this theft that happened with him. And apparently there was a big theft at Anastasia Beverly Hills of like $4 million worth of makeup back in 2017. And so they're trying to figure out if everything is connected. But Jeffree thinks it's an inside job because apparently they broke into the factory or like the manufacturer, like the holding facility that had the lowest security. And so they think that whoever did it knew. That was going to be the easiest one to steal from. But it's kind of a crazy story because, he's so high profile and to steal like such a huge amount of stuff, it's pretty incredible.
Here's my thought. And again, I'm not saying any of this is true, but it does not get any better from a marketing standpoint. Like,
ooh, you think it's a publicity
no,
stunt?
I don't.
Oh my
think
gosh, that's such a conspiracy theory.
I don't think
I love it. It's not true,
it's
but
not
I
true.
love it.
I honestly like, and let me be clear. I don't think it's true. I don't think that if it was a publicity, you don't go to the FBI knowing that this was something that you were like had a hand in or whatever. So like very clear this is. But
they're gonna get you.
But think about if it was like it is literally the best marketing for yourself and your product that you could ever ask for, right? Not only did someone want my stuff, my unreleased new stuff that's coming soon to stores so badly that they broke into my factory to get it early and get early access to it and is now selling it for extremely exorbitant money on the black market, on this like makeup black market.
I love that conspiracy theory. It's not true. It's not true, but I love
it.
Right?
Not only is it that popular, and not only does it sell out so quickly that people are willing to go to the extremes of breaking into my factories and stealing it, but to do it in such a dramatic way of like they broke in through the roof and they descended down, like truly a Mission Impossible style thing. Like it is something straight out of the movies, but the level of prestige that comes with that and the level of, and now everyone talks about, we're talking about it. Would we be talking about Jeffree Star's new makeup line if it wasn't for this like ridiculous heist? No, we've talked about Jeffree Star and his popularity in the past.
But now I know all about his concealer.
Right. Well, and that's the other brilliant part of this, right? It isn't just my makeup was stolen. It's my unreleased new makeup palette was stolen.
It's the concealer, Matthew. It's not a palette.
Well, right.
Get good. Come on.
There you go. No, but that's exactly it, right? Now all of a sudden you know that there's a new product coming out, that it's really cool, that it's worthy of being stolen, and that, if you're one of the few who's able to get it, you got a product that was stolen. Like, it was so exciting.
Brooklyn Bear says, my mom just yelled from the kitchen, Matthew needs to watch himself. He's going to get in trouble, right? We need to stop this line of thinking.
No, here's the thing, friends.
Again,
you question what you're being told. And like I said, FBI, like getting the FBI involved, like it's not true. But this is where my mind goes to a lot of times, right? Like, I would not put it past someone to make this into a story. Like, we live in such a stupid, ridiculous time period where, like, it's so absurd, right? That this sort of stuff I could absolutely see being done. Pranks, all the biggest prank channels, all those were faked for the longest time. People were like, oh, I can't believe that, big prank channel X did this ridiculous thing to these people. No, they were plants, it was staged, it was filmed. That was it, right? And it got a good video, but it felt organic. And it got a lot of press coverage and got a lot of people talking, and they became popular and got a lot of money off of their popular prank videos. That's just a fact, right? Yeah. We live in a day and age where you can fake almost anything, and because no one's looking at the facts or analyzing or whatever, like, you can get away with a lot of it.
Yeah. So, and just to put like a cap on that, I actually think Jeffree is hugely smart. I think he's like,
Absolutely.
he's obviously an incredible businessman. He's a totally successful entrepreneur. Like, I think his business strategy and his strategy of being creator, businessman, like keeps it super, super real, is not afraid to call out brands, all of that stuff. So smart, top to bottom. And like, I wish him like all the success in the world. So in no way coming for him. What we have, like, what you do learn over time is that, like, publicity stunts are sometimes, you know, they're much deeper than you think they are. People in Hollywood fake marriages.
That's an episode at some point.
Yeah,
on
Film Theory, like the fake marriages of Hollywood
This
that are just like
blew
set
our
up.
mind.
Yeah, like a lot of them are not, like, when you see two celebrities getting married, that's not real.
And getting divorced.
Yeah, and getting divorced. They've signed a contract that says, I'm going to be married for 3 years and then we're going to get a divorce. Like, it's going to help your career in this way. It's going to help my career in this way. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's fake.
Scary.
So it's the kind of thing where, like, yes, could that happen? Absolutely. But do we think it happened in this circumstance? No. It would just be really cool if it did.
It would just be really, like you said.
It would be smart.
Jeffree Star is smart, right? If you're watching the Shane Dawson documentary where he's in Jeffree's factory and being like, oh, wow, maybe I'll do a makeup line one day. And you're not, like, guys, that
They already knew.
They knew
were
that
doing
going
it.
in.
Yeah, they
friends.
knew.
If you didn't
It was
realize
part of the marketing.
that wasn't a thing that just happened organically, spur of the moment. Like, you don't drop that line in without the intention of following through with that, right? You drop it in, all of a sudden the audience is like, what a great idea, I'm totally on board with that. And then, you know, a couple months later when they're like, oh, I guess I am going through with that. Funny coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It was planned. Like, and that's the thing, right? Like, these people, Shane, Jeff, everyone's super smart and super savvy. And so, you know, doing a fake heist like this would be a really smart, savvy way to do this sort of thing. Again, not saying that they did.
Just
very clearly, I'm just saying that it would be smart and very creative and very much in this kind of, like, day and age of weird viral marketing.
Yeah. Angela Siegman says, good disclaimer, Steph. Yep, there we go. And Just Trapsuki says, Steph and Matt Pat are fake married. It's so true. The cat's out of the bag. We are not really married. Oliver isn't even really our baby.
That's why he's blonde.
That's why he's blonde. That'd be really funny.
This whole
That's
time
why
I'm like,
he's
yeah, I
blonde.
was blonde when I was, I was never blonde. No, never.
Been blonde. No.
I'm not even a brunette.
No.
Rip off my hair.
No, thank goodness. I couldn't imagine.
That's
being fake.
and see,
that would be so sad.
Here's me spilling the tea on that, right? It's
What?
like,
Oh no, there's more.
No.
Stop getting yourself in trouble here.
I'm not
man.
getting myself in trouble. I'm talking the truth to the people.
Someone's gonna
Steph.
come up on Twitter in like 10 years and be like, that one time Matt Pat said something negative about President Jeffree Star.
And now he's not allowed in America. I'm not allowed
Exactly,
in
and
China.
now
I'm not
they're
allowed in
kicking you
America.
out.
I'm not allowed in any country because I'm like the Edward Snowden of YouTube. Not even.
Caligummy says Oliver is actually just a doll.
Very lifelike doll.
Yeah, he's a great replica.
If we could remove that doll's ability to diarrhea, that would be great. No, but what I was going to say about that, like, would you accept a marriage contract or like some sort of relationship contract? Like, I'm just thinking about people in Hollywood who do this sort of thing, right? And this is something that we've had confirmed by people who know agents, who are much more of a traditional mindset. And when we first learned about this like blew our mind, right? That this sort of stuff exists. But to me, like, to know that your entire life is fake, like not even your personal life and your relationship with someone else is that's insane to me.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Like, I don't care how much money and how famous you are. Like, is it worth it at that point? Like, are you really happy? I don't know. To me, I would struggle to want to live that life, even with some tremendous amount of success.
Demis Ramirez says #Dolliver.
Oliver.
I love it.
They're seeing through our ruse, you guys. Oh, no, would you do it, Steph? Would you sign a marriage for, like...
No.
No?
What? I mean, for some exorbitant amount of money or something? No. I think There are some things that money can't buy, and I think one of those truly is like love. You can't buy it. You can't.
Well, it's not buying it. It's kind of like putting it on hiatus until.
No,
See,
life is too short.
Right, that's my thought.
Life is too short to be fake married to someone for 5 years. That's 5 years you could have spent with someone you really cared about.
See, I agree 100%. I think you got to draw the line somewhere, and for me, I draw the line much, much earlier than that point. So anyway, that is the tea on Jeffree Star and his makeup and my conspiracy theories about.
Oh my gosh, that was so crazy.
But you got to admit that it's a fun little theory, right, Steph?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And okay, cool. So we've gone from James Charles to Jeffree Star.
So
where are we going to next?
I've gotten my. It's funny. I like that T series has finally given us a chance to open up about like makeup and like the fashion and style areas of it, because we would never be able to talk about that
Style
elsewhere.
theory.
Oh man, did we just pull a Shane Dawson?
Oh, I don't know.
Ha!
Only time will tell.
So anyway, Prince Harry. So let's go back to our roots, Stephanie.
Ooh, our roots.
Can we go back to our roots as a channel and talk about Prince Harry?
Why? How is that our roots as a channel?
It's our roots as Americans, Stephanie. From our.
Did you come from Britain? My family immigrated in 1911 from Italy. We missed out. We missed slavery. We missed we missed we almost missed the Great Depression. We were here for that. We missed England. We missed the whole Protestantism thing. We just came from Italy and then minded our own business. And my grandpa started a bleach company, and that was it.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Bleach company.
So I have no connections to Prince Harry. Thank you very much.
No, nor do I actually. Excuse me, Stephanie. Britain they spilled tea in our harbor. And
I know,
true to
right?
them spilling tea in our harbor.
I've disowned England because they spilled all the. Oh no, that was us. That was the Americans who spilled the tea.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
harbor.
we spilled the tea.
Jeez.
Damn, Americans spilling the tea since our country's inception. Just tea spilling is in our nature, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, the reason I want to talk about Prince Harry is because we're getting back to our roots as a channel here. Prince Harry says that Fortnite should be banned. So we're going back to gaming, right? This is what I'm talking about when it says going back to our roots. So Prince Harry says Fortnite should be banned. Basically, Prince Harry has proclaimed that Fortnite should be banned in the UK, seeing no benefit for it, right? So here's a quote from Prince Harry himself, quote, "Where is the benefit of having it in your household? It's created to addict, an addiction to keep you in front of a computer for as long as possible. It's so irresponsible. It's like waiting for the damage to be done and kids turning up on your doorstep and families being broken down." He also added that he thinks social media is more addictive than alcohol. What do you think, Steph? Fortnite should be banned according to Prince Harry himself.
I think he's a bit out of touch. If I'm
Whoa! Are you throwing shade at a prince?
Here's the thing.
A prince, Stephanie?
I've never been one of those people who's been like obsessed with the royal family. I'm just not
I'll
that
have you
into
know that
it.
as soon as new seasons of The Crown appear on
Okay,
Netflix,
so
we
that
have
is
to
true.
binge them that weekend.
That
So
is true.
Don't believe I'm spilling the tea on Stephanie right now.
Anyone after Queen Elizabeth, like I think she's pretty like amazing. And everyone has their issues or whatever, but she's pretty incredible. And her story is really cool, but like in terms of like staying up at 5 a.m. or whatever to watch the royal weddings like people did with Meghan Markle and William, the other one. Yeah.
Wow. Good job, guys. Way to know your royal crown.
Kate Middleton. Everyone was like up in the middle of the night in the U.S. to watch the wedding live, and I was just like, "What are you doing?
I don't really get
it's
it.
fine." It's fine if that's your thing. It was never really mine, but Prince Harry saying that Fortnite he's basically saying Fortnite is the opiate of the masses, and
that's very poetic, Stephanie.
Well, no, it's oh god, where does that quote come from? It's basically being like, he's royalty, and I'm sure his family is just doing all sorts of important stuff all the time or whatever, and if basically like judging other people for either playing Fortnite or letting their kids play Fortnite, I think it's like comes up. It reads to me as a little elitist.
If I elitism from a prince,
I know, crazy.
Isn't that
right?
kind of their job description, Stephanie?
And everyone is like, Apex is better than Fortnite. Okay, fine.
In the chat,
Fine.
that's great.
I also think his assertion that it's going to ruin families and stuff. I think there are a lot of things, in history that have been called out that way. Television being one of them. Other video games have certainly been accused of the same kinds of things. They're going to ruin society. They're going to break down families. I've yet to actually see that happen, even from the most popular video games out there. So, I guess I'm a bit skeptical.
That's funny. Right? If I'm a prince, right? And again, I don't really know what princes do with their spirit, but like, hey, I'm a prince. I'm part of the royal family. I'm shocked that he's not playing Fortnite. Like, honest, like, if I were him and I got this like silver spoon, I'm born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I got to do like a couple of like charity events every now and then to like make good face for the people of my kingdom. And all the rest of my time is spent, I don't know, walking the hallways of Buckingham Palace. Or hey, I'm playing Fortnite.
Yeah, I think
maybe not Fortnite.
And here's the thing. I will say,
Hollow Knight I'm into now.
People in his position, Prince William, Prince Harry, whoever is in those kinds of positions, who were born with such incredible wealth and privilege, and also in such a position of like being in the public eye, their whole lives have been so unrelatable that I think it puts them in a tough position where they can't really pass judgment on the way everybody else lives because they cannot relate. They really have no concept of how like the other half lives or whatever. So I think him passing judgment on something like Fortnite is a bit rough.
The other half
99.9999999% live.
We're like yeah, the other everyone.
Yeah.
Like how many monarchies are there at this point? There's not many monarchies left in the world.
There are people who live like royalty in some parts of the world, right? Obviously, but they're very few and far between.
An official royal, like
official
there's a lot of
royalty is
people,
very hard to come by.
there's a decent number who live like royalty just because they're like filthy rich. Kardashians live like royalty, great. But like the number of actual royalties out there, it's not that many.
So
anymore.
the other thing you mentioned is that social media is addictive, right? Which I absolutely agree with. I think it's totally true. I think more and more, especially this year, you've seen a backlash against social media and people making sort of a power stand. A lot of YouTubers have done it. A lot of prominent people have done it where they're saying like, I'm taking a break from social media. I'm rationing my social media. I'm making sure that I'm only using it in healthy quantities or in low doses of social media. And it's a power move. It's like, I'm taking back my life because I recognize that this doesn't make me happy and that it's addictive. So I do agree with him about that. But in terms of banning things, people will always find ways to waste their time. If you think that Fortnite is a waste of time, which you may or may not agree with, I think it's a lot of fun. I think like all video games in moderation are awesome, right? But if your solution is you're going to ban this, people will just replace it with something else. I think it's such a nearsighted solution that it's ridiculous.
I have an important question here, Steph.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you think the royal family watches The Crown, the Netflix series about the royal family, but not? I mean, like back in the day.
So I heard that the queen has to have some level of approval over those because it is her personal story,
and she is alive.
Now, because
she's manipulating the story that's being told about her. Again, history is written by the victors. You can't. But everyone calls me a crazy conspiracy theorist, but guys, you got to look at your sources, friends.
What I've heard is
people give me a hard time about manipulating the facts about Kirby. At least I'm talking about stuff that doesn't matter. Just putting it out there. No one cares that Kirby is a villain or not, whatever. But well, people do care apparently.
A lot of people care.
But like when you're talking about real people who have real impact on real history, just saying.
Gabrielle says The Crown is so good. I know,
really
right?
Good.
I love it. I love that show.
Series.
But I have heard that the portrayal of Prince Philip, her Queen Elizabeth's husband, it has been played down a little bit because he was even wilder and maybe even cheatier than he was shown in the show. Apparently not the best fellow, at least in his youth. So I think they've toned down some of that a bit. But
see,
it's
why play
such
Fortnite
a good show.
when
It's
you can cat house your way around England as the prince, as the king, whatever.
Right.
Like, hey, don't wait. You got Fortnite or you got cheating on your wife. One of the two.
Right, and it's on Netflix, so you don't have to order HBO. You don't have to get anything like that. It's on.
You have to get Netflix.
You do have to get Netflix, or just get
series.
someone else's Netflix password and watch it. It is so good.
It's really good. I was skeptical at first because I'm not usually like historical drama
type
guy. Stephanie is. Stephanie definitely is. My many a watch of Pride and Prejudice that's historical fiction. But anyway,
also Sense and Sensibility. Okay. Emma Thompson is fantastic in that.
We're doing like a 3-to-1 ratio of Pride and Prejudice to Sense and Sensibility. I was
actually thinking about watching Sense and Sensibility this weekend. How do you feel about that?
I got some scripts I gotta write. So I support you in your endeavors. Maybe it'll be the first movie we show Oliver. Teach him the classics.
He's too young for screen time.
He's too young. But yeah, because he might get addicted to Fortnite. No, and here's my thing, right? So I think it's interesting to what Stephanie's saying about Prince Harry complaining about Fortnite. Here's the thing. Say what you will about Fortnite. Is it addictive? Yes and no. Like, the thing is, it's not as bad as a lot of other games, quite honestly. Like, if Prince Harry is going to complain about video games being addictive, right? We've done Prince. Can I call you Prince, Harry? Harry? Can I call you Harry? No, let me call you Prince. Prince, if you're listening to this podcast right now, which apparently you're not because you don't agree with social media because you're afraid that you're going to get addicted to it. Prince, let me talk to you through this hypothetical situation and introduce you to our episode on mobile gaming because mobile gaming is actually far more addictive and far more designed to addict than Fortnite is. I mean, certainly Fortnite has some issues with kind of like hacking into your brain and, doing things that incentivize you to continue playing for really long hours. But the thing is, mobile gaming is much more egregious about this and, much more pervasive and much more readily available. So, that's the thing I would say is if you're looking to throw stones in the right direction because there's a lot worse actors out there who are doing this stuff. He also, like the quote said, sorry, let me pull it up real quick again. It's designed to addict, to keep you in front of a computer for as long as possible. It's so irresponsible. Again,
he has a whole team to do all of his social media for him. That's it. It's designed to keep you in front of your computer. Sorry, you don't have to do it yourself. Like, I'm sure that he could, if he really wanted to, post on Instagram, but he has professional photographers who are taking pictures of him all the time. And
why have social media when you have all the magazines?
I know, and he has a social media team that can populate his Instagram and his Twitter and whatever. If Prince Harry wanted a TikTok, someone would do his TikTok for him on the royal staff. The thing is, it's easy to say that social media is bad and people shouldn't use it when you don't have to maintain any of it yourself.
Hey, Chris, can we do a TikTok of like a Prince Harry TikTok with like very offensive stereotypes of British people?
Of princes?
Of Prince Harry specifically?
Oh no, that might be defamation.
We'll have to double check that it falls under parody. Calling it full circle. No, but it's funny. So he says it's an addiction trying to keep you in front of a computer as long as possible. Harry, if that's a problem, then literally every website, and he does call out social media, but every website wants you to stay there as long as TV wants you to stay as long as possible. That's the thing, friends, is if you're creating a successful product, people want you to use their product as much as possible, right? That is just the nature of good business. And I get it. He's
right, but also it's just a bit nearsighted, and I'm not sure if maybe this is part of a larger discussion and he had more color commentary on this or said something but smarter about it. But if not, I think it's just there's more nuance than he's sort of giving credit for. And we are not the hugest fans of spending a ton of time on social media. We've like scaled back our like the time that we spend on Twitter. We put stuff up on Instagram, but we also don't spend a ton of time just like scrolling through feeds on social media. And for the reason that like it does not make you feel good. So like we are in the camp of like control how much you use social media. Try to not, don't stay up late at night with it like hovered above your face in bed, like just scrolling through pictures of other people's vacations that like make you feel bad about yourself. Like that sucks. No one should be doing that because that doesn't do anyone any good. But like I just think there's more. This is a deeper argument than he's giving it credit
Right?
for.
If you're throwing stones, throw stones at The Crown, because tell you what, every new season of The Crown, we are binge watching all 10 episodes.
All 10.
So it's designed to keep us addicted and watching for as long as possible. So blame Netflix and the people who are making the story about your mom.
Yeah.
Or I guess at this point, what, your grandmother? Grandmother?
What? What are we talking about?
Right? It would be his grandmother.
Yeah, his grandma.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, it's his grandma.
Grandma. So throw stones at the people who are making really compelling, binge-watchable series about your grandma, Harry. Because I'm addicted to that. Didn't think I would be. Stephanie showed me the light. It's really good now.
It's a really good show.
It's really good.
So anyway, I think anything else about Harry? He has lovely red hair. I will say that.
Harry, if you want a good show to watch,
Check out The Crown.
Check out The Crown
Or GTeaLive.
or GTeaLive. You know what? Sometimes we talk to royalty here. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
We talk to royalty, we talk to celebrities, we talk to YouTube.
James Haygreen says, I think this may be his way of sparking a bigger debate, though I think it was a bit ham-fisted.
Oh,
Agreed.
yeah.
I think that's probably exactly what it was intended to be.
I mean, if you're a prince, everything you do is symbolic. Like that's the thing. If you're a position in power, most of the actions that you're taking are more like conversation starters, or like let's raise this as a national issue.
Yeah.
Do I wish that Fortnite were banned? I don't wish that it was banned. I do wish that people played other games, because Fortnite is really hard to theorize about. Like, you can't talk about a whole lot of stuff in Fortnite all the time. So, it sends me back to the FNAF well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But no, I think I will say,
just to provide the other side of this really quick, and I think then we should probably cut off this
I think I
topic.
provided another.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go.
Dark Lord 88 says his opinion still matters, and no, he's extremely down to earth. He's a soldier who cares more about people than most. He has done, I think, more on the ground stuff than most of the rest of his family. He has spent time as a soldier, which is awesome. He's served his country. He's spent a lot of time in nightclubs, if you believe all the tabloids. So down to earth in that way, I guess.
Didn't he dress as a Nazi? Is that the one who dressed as a Nazi one time?
I don't know.
For a Halloween costume?
Oh no.
Anyone know that one? One of the two of them did.
No.
One of the two of them
Hold
did. Here,
on.
look it up real quick.
Prince.
Because here we go. Look at us throwing stones. This is in
on.
defense of PewDiePie
Wait.
right here.
Oh no, he did.
There it is. Yeah, I called that one.
Oh no.
Yeah, he dressed as a Nazi for Halloween one time.
He went through a really wild period for a while there. He was a bit of the black sheep of the royal family. I think.
Didn't we all, except for me? I
Oh
never
my
went through a
God!
wild. Yeah,
oh my
he
gosh,
wore
he
the
has a
swastika.
swastika
I know.
on his sleeve.
Yep. So we're
What?
everyone giving PewDiePie a hard time. Let's give Prince Harry a hard time. Maybe he's just jealous of the success PewDiePie had.
I don't think. Wow.
Phil-
Wow.
Yeah. That was tasteless and dumb.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Remember that time, Prince Harry? Prince? Can I call you Prince?
The costume was apparently meant to represent the Africa Corps, a rather odd interpretation of the birthday party's colonial theme. Ooh, there are just a lot of icky things. Why would you have a colonial themed, oh gosh, why would you have a colonial themed party?
To celebrate the colony stuff.
But you're celebrating people who mostly didn't want to be conquered, which is why a lot of them have become independent nations in the last 50 years.
History is tough, because again, here's Matt Pat the conspiracy
it's just
theorist. History is written by the victors, and so if you throw enough parties about look at how happy everyone is, then it becomes history.
Okay,
there
so-
it is.
okay, so that
and
was
you
the thing.
forget about the time that he dressed as as a Nazi.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So there you go, friends. Oh, I said the bad word, which means that this one's gonna get demonetized too.
Bleep it, Chris.
All of these videos just get
God,
demonetized because we're spilling too much. The tea can't be contained. Whether it's about the mob, about China, about social media, about princes, about YouTube policies. That is what you get here on T-Series on GTeaLive.
Oh, man.
You get unfiltered, real talk, demonetizable talk, which means that we should probably figure out ways that we can make money off this.
I was going to say, and we should probably really wrap this up.
It's too late at this point. It's all gone. So any final thoughts on stories of the week, Steph?
No, I think we had a really good roundup this week.
Last drop of tea.
I'm excited to see next week where, oh God. Jeez, Matthew, did you spill it on the microphone? Oh man.
Good to the last drop.
The last drops are like, we already covered Zac Efron. I think we're good. We're good.
So
till next week.
Well, no, till next week. A reminder to the mob. Again, I'm still a free agent. I am technically an Italian citizen. I will be. When now that Stephanie has gotten confirmed for her Italian citizenship.
I am an Italian citizen.
I am a forthcoming Italiano. So
we're gonna have to work on his cultural understanding.
So I'm very excited to be an Italiano mafioso.
Oh no.
So feel free to reach out.
I'm not really associated with him.
Illuminati, I'm still waiting
really.
for you.
Oh,
I don't really play Fortnite all that much, so I'm not I have a lot of free time on my hands apparently because I'm not addicted to social media. So I'm willing to give you my hat in the ring, friends. If there's a mafia out there looking for new recruits, good old Matt Pat here. Maybe I'll start my own mafia, the conspiracy theory mafia. No,
it's called Game Theory. It already has 11 million members.
Oh, that would be a pretty successful mafia.
That'd be awesome.
It might be too big. Might be a bit big and unruly at that point.
Doesn't fly under the radar. You can't get much done.
Right.
All
right, friends.
So with that,
maybe we'll steal makeup.
Nope. I don't think that's a good idea. Jeffree Star will get you. He will come after you.
Not if I convince him that it's a great marketing opportunity.
And with that, we're done.
That's it, friends. We'll see you next week. That is good to the last drop.
We'll be back with a regular stream on Thursday.
We'll be back on Thursday for a normal live stream. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. And remember, that is just I had something last week and then I forgot it.
Some tea? Keep it hot?
That's not good. Shoot, what was we had a good sign off, I thought.
Keep bubbling?
What?
Don't boil over.
Stupid. These are bad.
See you guys. Let's say goodbye in the chat.
Steep you next week.
Oh, man.
Terrible. I don't know.
Naomi Galax says bye. Awesome Crafty Gamer says bye.
Good golly, Miss Molly. Before you go, please explain the dude in the picture. That's Chris.
Oh, that's Chris.
Don't
mind him.
He's the
Chris
one
Paul.
who's pulling the strings behind us.
Rainbow Yas says bye.